Welcome to Nightmares Before Bed, a supernatural podcast where each show will explore dark and mysterious places, eerie creatures, and all things spooky and creepy. And speaking of spooky and creepy, please help me welcome your hosts Jonathan Rosen and Troy Cannon.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Nightmares Before Bed. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon. And today, before we get into it, we have a very cool, creepy topic. I want to see how you're doing because a lot of people don't know this, but you have this thing that's like bison tendon or this bison muscle. So you had a procedure yesterday for this, right? So I want to hear what happened there. How you doing, first of all? You have this could be your superhero origin story or your supervillain origin story. So I just want to know which way we're going.
It depends on how I wake up in the morning. It could be an origin of a villain or a hero. So I think the government is trying to turn me into a superhero because I fell and I injured myself, and it puts me in mind of Lee Majors as the $6 million man having an accident, and they put him back together, or the Winter Soldier having an accident and they put him back together. They went in and They fixed the muscle in my rotator cuff. I fell, I dislocated the arm, it popped out of the shoulder. As I'm tumbling headlong down the steps, I smacked my arm and shoved it back in the shoulder. So the pop and the reinsertion tore 3 of my 4 rotator cuffs. One of them was shredded right off the bone. So it was painful. You know how they say, give me a list of 1 to 10? This was probably 13.
Oh,
it woke me up, and at night, almost every night, I had to hold my arm and wander around the house just to get my sanity enough that I could sit still. It was painful, very painful. I tore the muscle in my chest and my neck and my back.
Oh, ouch.
And I also broke the bone in a couple places. So I went to the doc. The doc did a fusion on the bone, and they sewed the muscle. And he told me they were going to use bison tissue. And, you know, being a kid from the 80s, I always thought pig tissue was closer to human because they always said that. But he said, no, it's bison.
Bison's a lot cooler, by the way.
Bison's cooler, yeah, because pig tissue. So they sewed all the muscle back together. Unfortunately, there were some micro tears. They say that they think that happened because I tried to go back to the gym too early.
Okay.
And I did go to the gym, but I was in there for about 10 minutes and my fingers got numb, and I was like, this isn't going to work. So I went home. So just that one time, but they believe that I may have re-injured myself. But I think that they know that they did it. They just don't want to admit it because they don't want me to sue them, and live a life of lavish luxury. So they said that I still have micro tears. And even right now, moving my arm around, it feels like a really strong person is squeezing the crap with their fingers stuck in there. That's the least pain I get normally. But so I went back. They said I got a micro tear. So what they're trying to do is increase the hormone that heals in the shoulder. So what they're doing, they're giving me a shot with a needle that's like the length from the tip of my finger to my thumb. They jab that in my shoulder. They extract blood. I don't know why they need a needle that big, because there's blood right up under the skin. But they sucked all that stuff out. They take it. They increase the hormone that's in there. They bring it back. Then they shoot it right back into my shoulder. And that's supposed to increase my body's ability to heal and to fix itself. So the first time, it was kind of like with them adding stuff. It was kind of like a Weapon X program.
Well, is this the type of thing that the government has this special mooing sound, and then they control your body to various needs for them?
They might, because there's nights that I wake up that I'm completely exhausted and I don't know what's going on. I told you about the footprints in front of my house.
You don't know what you did.
That could have been me. They could have controlled me and had me doing all kinds of stuff.
Well, let's go on that note. Let's go on to our topic here. So this was, we take turns picking a different subject. This week was my week. So we're going to talk about Maple Hill Park, which is in Alabama, in Huntsville. It's right next door to a cemetery, Maple Hill Cemetery. And first of all, who thought it would be a good idea to make a playground by a cemetery? I don't know who does it. It's like the start of every horror movie that I've ever seen. It starts like that. But
Yeah.
Maple Hill Park is better known as Dead Children's Park. Playground, Dead Children's Playground. Right. So here's the thing. So it's, I don't know what you've read on it or what you haven't. It's, at night, it started off that the theories were that during the Spanish flu epidemic in 1918, that, many kids died. They said hundreds of kids died, and the majority of which are buried at the cemetery. There was also a thing in the 60s where this serial kidnapper found, started kidnapping kids, and they found these dead children in that area also, and then blamed them. So again, let's go back to why are we putting a playground in this cemetery, for one? And there have been sightings of the swings moving on their own, of these floating orbs, these ghostly orbs. They've seen spectral figures walking around, and I looked up yesterday, and you see pictures of there could be these spectral figures of children in certain photos. But again, let's go back again and again. Why are we putting a playground by a cemetery?
There are just certain things you're not supposed to mix.
Yes.
Peanut butter and pork chops. That's not supposed to go together. Racing cars and very tall cliffs. That should never go together. A children's playground and a burial ground shouldn't make. These guys didn't see the movie Poltergeist. They're not supposed to build on a playground, build a playground on top of that.
Yeah.
It's
so. Have you seen the pictures of it? They're mountains it's behind me too. You can kind of see it. There are trees and these limestone things that like sides of mountains kind of, and so it kind of locks you in too. It can be a very creepy place to be. You're really isolated and secluded. And again, I just people go there specifically looking for the ghosts as well. So what have you, some of the things that you read on it?
I read the thing about the potential serial killer burying his victims there. I read about that, and then I read about Mary Chambers Bibb. She was a la-di-da type woman that was there, because you've got the two sections. They combine these two horrors. This terrible place for a children's playground, but there's also stories about the cemetery. And sometimes these cemetery ghosts are getting over there and possibly doing stuff too. And Mary Chambers Bibb was a woman that was potentially going to be married soon. And in the days of her time, in the 18th century, 19th century, they preferred a paler skin. So she would drink the bath salts. I forget which one it was. It definitely wasn't, I don't remember, but she would drink one of the bath salts. It'll probably come to me in a minute. She would drink those daily. But she was also bad to her servants. She had servants that worked in the house. And one of them, they said,
drinking too many bath salts.
Bath salts is probably what did it.
Yeah.
They're creating zombies today.
Yes.
She, one of the ones that she was noticeably abusive to, put arsenic in her drink instead of the bath salt. It's a common thing. We put them in the salt in the water now so that you can soak your legs. I forget the name of it.
The Epsom
it's a common
salts?
thing. Epsom salt.
Okay.
Epsom salts. So they were drinking Epsom salt in order to keep a paler skin, because it was fashionable back then.
Oh my gosh.
And the girl switched to Epsom salt. It seems like Epsom salt would kill you anyway, but she switched to Epsom salt with the arsenic. This woman drank the arsenic and she got ridiculously sick. Her mother saw her, immediately called for the doctor. And of course, in those days, the doctor, they would come to your house. Doctor came to the house and said she is never leaving this room alive. She is on the cusp of dying. So the gentleman caller who was supposed to marry her came there, and he's like, "Oh my God, she's going to die. We got to get married now." He loved her so much that he married her right then on the spot. So they got married, and she, of course, died soon afterwards. In remembrance of his now deceased wife, he said, well, she was kind of fashionable, and she liked wearing a nice dress and sitting on her patio in a rocking chair and waving at people. She was fairly popular. She would sit there and she would wave at people. Now, if you're popular, you're wearing almost no clothing and you're at a club dancing in front of Twitter. But back then, she would sit on her patio and wave at people. And they thought, that was the cat's pajamas. So he bought a nice outfit and hung it in her closet. And he bought her a nice rocking chair in remembrance of her. Today, they say if you go to the children's graveyard or children's playground, you can hear Mary in her rocking chair, amongst other noises. But sometimes at night you can hear that.
See, this one I didn't read.
Yeah, so she's Mary Chambers Bibb. She's a local ghost, and she's not one of those.
But she's supposed to be buried there at the playground, or the house is there?
She's buried at the cemetery.
Okay,
but she haunts the playground and the cemetery. I guess. She hangs out in both places. She's in a rocking chair, so she's rocking her way from one place to the other, but they say you can hear her in the rocking chair.
Well, that's another thing that I read, that you can hear like mothers calling their children, like, who come back also by the playground, that you could hear this. And you and I discussed this on another show here. And I can almost deal with the scary adult ghost. Once you turn to these little creepy kid ghosts, that just freaked me out. It just totally freaked me out. When you hear like the sound of the phantom sound of kids laughing, it's time to go.
That's right.
It's time to leave. That's it. There's no questions about it. It's time to get out of that house, that area, whatever it is. And because you have these kids are creepy, especially kid ghosts are creepy. And in every horror movie, you see that creepy kid with the glowing eyes or the blank stare. And then you turn them into ghosts. It's time to leave. They have these I read that there was mothers calling out to children. If you could see the figure, sometimes the figure of the serial killer when they kidnapped them, you see the figure looking down on the playground as well. And there was even a nurse, because it happened during the epidemic, the Spanish flu, when it wiped out so many kids. And there's always a nursery rhyme attached. It's like the Freddy Krueger thing. There's always a nursery rhyme attached to it. It's here. I wrote it down. So they said to try to prevent the spread of disease, parents caution their children to leave the windows closed. And they had, I had a bird. Its name was Enza. I opened the window and influenza. So it's these creepy little nursery. This is a silly one, but there's always a nursery rhyme attached to it, and there's always little creepy kids attached to it. And but now you're saying that there's a whole bunch of ghosts by the cemetery itself now, right?
I found 4. I wrote down the story of 2 of them. Another one was Adele Bankhead, and she had a daughter named Tula. Adele Bankhead was a woman of means. She had a lot of money for those days, probably $600 back then, but she had a lot of money for those days. But
a mansion back then.
This mansion cost $7. So, she had a daughter named Tula who was accustomed to the money, and she became a bad influence. She was quoted as saying stuff like, "Cocaine's not bad for you. I use it every day." So I'm thinking she's admitting to an addiction. She doesn't even know she was addicted. But they said that she would go to parties, and if she was not the center of attention, she would leave the room, get naked, and then come out and flaunt herself so that she would have the attention. She would, of course, immediately get kicked out but she knew she had everybody's attention for that
Say,
moment.
yeah.
So she was a self-serving person. And they
I
said
remember
that
when you used to do that at our parties.
I used to run through naked and
Exactly.
everything and do a little jiggle dance.
So yeah, so go ahead.
So since she was so self-serving that she had a seance with some friends, and supposedly in the seance, and her friends concurred, her mother came back and told her, "Hey, my headstone at the cemetery is not straight. You need to go and fix it." And she's like, "I'm not doing that. It's got nothing to do with me." So even though, her mother's ghostly image showed up and told her to do something, she didn't do it. She was completely unmoved. She didn't do it. The next day, the kids were like, "Let's see if we can do that again." They do it, and supposedly her mother came back again and said, "Look, I went back to the graveyard. My headstone's not fixed. You need to fix it." And she didn't. So the following day, the woman Tula passed away. Friends say the tombstone had righted itself. So the legend is that maybe the mother punished her for not doing it. So now Tula is one of the ghosts wandering around, but she's not quite the nice ghost like Mary is.
So we have the two different things. We have a set of 4 ghosts. There's probably more than that there's we're talking about. We have at least you read four ghosts, and that's besides all the dead children things that are by this playground.
Yeah, the dead children would be enough for me, but throwing some extra stuff in there, it's too much.
But again, and it's not even. I mean, you can look at the pictures. It is behind me, but it's not even much of a playground. It's like a nothing playground. But I don't know if you read this part that Huntsville started taking away the playground equipment in 2007. The residents were pissed. They were outraged about this. But the reason why they took away is because they needed more space. The cemetery was expanding. Again, it's the people dying to get in. The cemetery was expanding, and that meant more dead people right near the playground. But residents were pissed because they wanted it because it's like this big, landmark. I guess this, of that area. So they wanted the playground equipment put back. So they put in new equipment there too, but it's not much of anything. I mean, it's like a couple of swings, a few swings, and a little tiny thing to climb on, and that's it. But they wanted it there, I guess, to keep the dead children, happy. So they had something to do with it. But I mean, would you take your kids to a playground by the cemetery? I mean, I could see it, but it's just there are plenty of places that I would take my kid first before going to the cemetery playground.
Yes, I would not go there. I would take my kids to pet lions before I went there, because that kind of stuff, it's almost like the ghosts or the supernatural or something beyond the veil set that up. And the little goblins and demons were sitting there talking, and they're like, "Hey man, that's that great big cemetery. Yeah, let's make the humans put a playground right next to it. They'll never figure out that we're haunting them, but they'll keep bringing their kids there." It seems like a rational human being would not say, "Let's put a playground right next to the cemetery." It had to have been something else that forced them to do it. And when you go there, it's like, to me, haunted places have particular residue. And it's like if you're standing on a corner and somebody drives by and you just happen to be in the right place, and they drive by and they hit a puddle and you get hit with mud, it's on you now because you were in that place. When you go home, you still got that mud on you. To me, that's what supernatural places are. You can get a little bit of that residual and bring it home with you. I went to I travel as much as I can. Every chance I get, I go someplace. And I was in the French Quarter. I
Okay.
went to the French Quarter, and I went to the grave of Marie Laveau, who
Oh,
was
yes.
supposed to be this
But we're
really
going to have to do a show about her. Yes.
Yes, she's a powerful Mama Loa. I went there, and there's a chair right in front of one of her 3 graves. There's a chair right there. They say if you're a brave man, if you sit in that chair, if you walk by, she's there, and she's like, he's scared. Maybe I can get him. But if you sit in the chair, she's like, well, he's clearly brave. I won't mess with him. I sat in the chair so that she wouldn't. But at the same time, I was thinking, I'm probably bringing a little bit of that residue with me. I've thought that for a long time. This schoolyard, or not schoolyard, but this playground, people who volunteer to go there and hang out, those little ghost kids are looking at them saying, oh, look at Fred. Fred wants to hang out. Let's go to Fred's house tonight. Maybe it'll be fun at Fred's house. I don't know why anybody would go there. You're asking for these little kids to come with you. I'd never do it. I'm not definitely.
Well, here's the thing again. We've talked about this in a previous episode too. Whether the ghost can leave that spot, go somewhere else, or not. I mean, aren't they stuck to that area? Can they travel with you back? I mean, we did that kind of in the St. Pete Lights, like kind of thing, talking about that a little bit.
Sometimes there's different types of ghosts, and some of them can travel. Some of them can travel, and some of them can haunt a place or a thing and then transfer their haunting to something else. So you may go there and, I don't know, have a AC/DC Hell's Bells shirt, and a kid would be like, oh, Hell's Bells, I've been there. Yeah, it's a great place. And they may attach themselves to your shirt and follow you home. And now your shirt's in your closet, and you can't figure out why your house is haunted because you let them attach to that shirt. They move from one place to the other, and now they're attached to you.
You watch the TV show Ghosts, the sitcom?
No, I've heard of it. There's like an American and an English version.
Yes.
But I've never actually watched it.
They have different type of ghosts in that some are confined to an area and some are attached to a person. Like they explore the different lores. Like, some have to, one particular person that it's attached to, and they travel around with that person. So like we mentioned another thing that, teens go to these places at night looking at things there too. You and I never did that as teens. That I recall. I don't know if you did that without me, but I know you and I together we've not done that. I've gone on ghost tours through cemetery things, and whether you believe or not, it's kind of like just creepy being out of the cemetery at night anyway. It's just, I don't know that I'd purposely go to one at night. To maybe I've done it with a group. I don't know if I'd go out alone to just see if I could see. Although that's probably the best time to go if you want to catch something. But it's such a creepy thing, and you go out, and then if you see like lights, or if you see the swing moving back and forth, I'm not one of those people that like, oh, let's get closer, to the swing moving and see if we could contact someone. I'm like Shaggy and Scooby. My legs start spinning fast. Let me get out of here as quickly as possible. With that,
well, it still exists. I mean, if they honestly believe that there's something there, they should do something to protect themselves. If they don't really think that there's anything there, then I'm wondering, why did they put it next to a cemetery? That boggles my mind. A children's playground and a cemetery are two things that just don't match.
Does not go too well. I mean, it's a big thing there. It's like, it's well known. It's protected, and the residents, obviously when they try to take it away, the residents of the area got pissed. They wanted it back. They wanted to keep it there. So it is, I guess, this cultural landmark that's, that they identify with it there too. So, I mean, would you go at night? I mean, just not with a tour. Yes, I think I probably would go with a tour. I got to say, I probably would. I don't know if I would just go like you and me alone. You pick up phone. Hey, let's go over to the cemetery tonight. Check. I'm not sure I would do that. Maybe there's a part of me that thinks yes, it would be interesting to see, but most of it says no. I don't know. What about you?
Well, my thing is this: people who go to look like people who look for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
and they actually think they're going to see Bigfoot, they almost always don't bring anything but plaster casting and a camera. I'm thinking if you meet an 8 foot tall, 700-pound furry hominid that eats elk, kills and eats giant elk, then if all you've got is a camera, you're not really expecting to see something. You should bring a gun or at least a good pair of running shoes.
Well, we can't kill Bigfoot.
Slower than you.
Right.
So if I went there, if I went to someplace like that, I'd have to go expecting to see something. I'd have to have some
That's exactly it. You have people you believe. To me, if you're going and to the thing, I don't know whether you believe or not, but you have to go at the expectation that you're going to see something. That I agree with you 100% of that.
Because I've seen a lot of movies where, like The Unnameable, one of my favorite movies, where people go and they're like, let's go to the Duncan house and see if there's really a monster. And all they brought was alcohol. I was like, you're going to a place that you think there's a monster and you're going to get drunk. They were expecting to see something, but not really. And when they saw it, they actually were surprised that what they thought was going to happen actually happened. If you're expecting something and it happens, you shouldn't be surprised about it.
That's what you're going for.
That's what you're going for. It's like when I watch the news on Shark Week and people are like, I'm surprised I got bit by a shark. And I'm thinking, were you in the water? You were in the water, right? You should be surprised by getting bit by a shark if you're in the shower. That's a surprise. If you're taking a shower and you get attacked by a shark, I'd be surprised. I didn't expect to see a shark there. But if you're in the ocean, then yeah, that's where the sharks are at. So if you go to where the creepy monster is, and then the creepy monster shows up, you can't go, oh, I didn't expect that.
I never expected this.
Therefore, so if I went there, I would go there expecting 100% to see something, and I would try to be prepared for said something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I told you that, I've been to haunted hotels. I've been to, I go on so many ghost tours. I've not seen anything. I'm so disappointed when I'm not. But maybe I should be relieved. But, but I told you this also. I've only gone to places that I read that the ghosts were like nice. But I don't know that I would go to a hotel that they said that the ghost, used to be a strangler. He used to kill people. I don't know if I'd go to one of those places. I have gone to the ones that are just like the benevolent ghost places there too. Like we talked about, we're going to do an episode on the Clown Hotel one day. I wouldn't stay there. There's no way, because I don't even need the ghosts. I don't want a room full of clowns in there. But going to a cemetery when I hear laughing kids, that would creep me the hell out.
Yeah. And I consider myself a man's man, but I would get up and run right out of there like a small child. I would get out of there screaming like a woman, running like a child, and I wouldn't stop until my sneakers blew up or something. That kind of stuff. I'm interested in it, and I believe in it, but I believe in it. So I know that I believe falling off a cliff, if you're high enough, will cause you serious damage. I believe
at the very least, right?
Yeah, so I believe in these kind of things too. So if something came through the wall, my thought is, oh, it's going to get me. I got to get out of here, and I would run right up out of there.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Well, look, you and I both have a certain degree of belief in it. We're doing this show, but yeah, I do think this one really just got to me just because of the playground, and it's all based on kids. Like I said, kid ghosts just get to me. That's what I think more than anything else. That kid ghosts get to me. Whenever I see kids in horror movies, there's something wrong. I just know that there's something wrong. Yeah. Either that they're evil or the evil's going to find them. So it's I hate seeing any kids in there whatsoever just because of that, because I associate. But yeah, this one was a creepy one to me. I'm saying, I just look at the picture and it's like it reeks of exactly what happened. Serial killer dumping bodies in that area, because it's secluded. There are trees all around, plenty of places to hide bodies. That's exactly what it looks like, and that's exactly what happened here. So I'm not sure I'm going out there at night, because even ghost or no ghost, I don't know what I'm going to find there at night. So what people are hiding over there or doing it there at night. some satanic ritual, some serial killer there. So I'm probably avoiding this place at night unless like we're going in large numbers or something like that.
Something I've wondered about, I looked at, for the last couple of days, I've been checking it out, researching whatever, looking at other YouTubers who have gone there and so forth. Nobody has said why the rocks are blue. So a lot of the rocks are painted blue. I can't find out. I don't know if that's like a construction thing or if they're marking it some kind of a way, but the rocks are blue. And I was like, nobody even mentions that. Why are the rocks blue? What's going on with the blue rocks? Is it vandalism? Is it something regular, or is it some type of protection against the ghosts? But there's blue rocks there. I don't know why that is.
So after a certain amount of time of doing this show, you and I are going to have to go somewhere and check the place out in person. Is that what we're saying now?
Yes, without a doubt.
I think you're probably right. I think we're going to have to do this at some point. But anyway, let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you've been there, encountered any ghosts. If there's some ghost stories that we're missing over at Children's Playground. But it's a creepy place for sure. Anyway, this has been Nightmares Before Bed. I'm Jonathan Rosen with Troy Cannon. And please like, comment, and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Thank you for watching Nightmares Before Bed. And now, it's time to shut the lights, close your eyes, and go to sleep. If you can.